This is a Headgum podcast.
This week's episode is unlocked from the back catalog on our Doughboys Patreon. Subscribe at patreon.com/Doughboys to get the Doughboys Double every Tuesday, plus our entire pre-Headgum back catalog. Join the Golden or Platinum Plate Club at patreon.com/Doughboys. That's patreon.com/Doughboys. In 1975, Larry Levine opened a casual, full-service restaurant on the corner of Greenville Avenue and Meadow Road in Dallas. Levine modeled its menu and atmosphere off of his passion for a Texas tradition, the chili cook-off. 40 years later, this simple roadhouse grill has blossomed into a multinational corporation with over 1,500 locations in places such as Egypt, Taiwan, and El Salvador. Though purists cry foul, this restaurant chain is most responsible for popularizing Tex-Mex cuisine, introducing dishes such as fajitas and baby back ribs to the masses. Today on Doughboys, we're talking Chili's. Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to Doughboys. My name is Nick Wiger, alongside my co-host, Mike Mitchell. Mitch, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. That was like beautiful poetry, what you just said.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think we want to add a little bit of gravitas to what we're doing. This is a podcast. This is our inaugural episode, and this is our podcast about chain restaurants, which is a passion of both Mitch and myself. Mm-hmm. Each episode will be tackling a different chain restaurant. In this episode, for our first one, we're talking about Chili's, which I think is I'd say one of the main ones. Main is the right word to use?
I think I would like to say it's kind of a well-respected chain restaurant. If I kind of had to sum it up, like I feel like a lot of people like Chili's. When I told people I was going to Chili's, everyone was like, "Oh, Chili's is great." It was kind of the response I got from it. So I think that this one is it's a good one to start off on. I think it's if you asked people, if this was Family Feud, and you said chain restaurants, I think Chili's might be one of the first ones out of people's mouth. I think it would be the number one spot.
I think maybe number 2 or 3, but it would be up there.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I think there. I'm not trying to undercut you. I think it could be the number one answer.
No, you're right. It would be 2 or 3.
It might also be 2 or 3. Anywhere from 1 to 3, I think, is where Chili's could fall in the Family Feud.
Nick is a writer for the Family Feud in his spare time.
Let us introduce our guest. She is a writer for You're the Worst on FX and soon to be on FXX and Comedy Bang Bang on IFC. Very funny person and a dear friend, Eva Anderson. Hello, Eva.
Hi there.
Eva, thank you so much for doing our first episode. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, I'm so pleased and honored to be here. I'm so excited.
Mitch and I were talking, and one reason we thought of you is because, we're talking about chain restaurants, which is such a big thing of Americana, but I think we also think of you, and I'm not sure if this is your perception of yourself, but we think of you as one of the more cultured people we know.
Ooh, thanks.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, you are very cultured, then also I feel like everyone we know is very uncultured too.
Yeah.
So you really shine amongst the people I know.
I'm flattered. Thank you, Mitch.
So how do you, generally speaking, how do you feel about chain restaurants?
I actually really like them a lot. I don't go to them a lot, but I grew up for a lot of my life in the suburban sprawl outside of Seattle, kind of the area where Microsoft is.
Okay.
And so it was one of those places where it was really exciting to go to a chain restaurant, and it was like a big family thing, or it's where you would hang out with your friends after school if you were hanging around late at night. I didn't drink or do drugs or have sex, so I pretty much just went to Red Robin with my friends or
Amen.
Denny's. And then in LA, I think we have some laws that make it more difficult to open chain restaurants in the LA area, like franchises.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is legal and how much of that is just the economics of it, but I've noticed when as LA residents, when we want to go to a chain restaurant, it's like a drive. You can't in the LA metropolitan area. For me, it's I got to go 40 minutes if I want to go to, a restaurant that would have been a 10-minute drive from my house in Long Beach, California.
I will say that this Chili's was located in Encino, so it was a little bit of a drive, and maybe these days in the future will be looked upon like Prohibition was, like people will be upset that like now there'll be chain restaurants in every corner in Hollywood. Actually, there could be. Hollywood has a lot of like just chains that are just like nothing, kind of like garbage, post-apocalyptic kind of like
Hooters, you mean, or like different?
Just like big chains. Like I told you I went to Little Caesars the other day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that entire strip, there is not. It's on I think whatever Santa Monica Boulevard, which no one knows, but who cares? And it's this huge strip. And literally, like, the only thing I can see that, like, has lights on and looks like it's active is the Little Caesars, and everything else is just kind of, like, defunct.
Yeah.
Which is also sad. Sorry for bringing it up. But it's like a sad state. But it is that kind of weird thing of, like, why isn't there a big Chili's right in the heart of town? Like, I think people would love it. There's a Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's I think the one stretch where you will get it is sort of this Hollywood and Highland stretch where it's like which is kind of the very touristy Hollywood Boulevard area.
Yeah.
That'll be places where but the change you'll see there are like the Hard Rock Cafe. I think there's a Rolling Stone ripoff of the Hard Rock Cafe. Am I right about that?
Oh man.
I think and then there's a Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo Cantina. There's one of those. But yeah, there aren't. I don't think there's like the more mainstream chains that you maybe will find in the suburbs.
But if you're in Times Square, you can go to Olive Garden. You can go to the tallest TGI Fridays in the world, which I spent a lot of time at. Plus, you can go to things that like are future chains, like Guy Fieri's American Bar and Grill, which I went to, and also last time I was in New York, I went there by myself, and I went to the Cake Boss restaurant by myself.
Oh, do they just serve cake at the Cake Boss?
Yeah, it's just a bakery, but it has a big statue of him. And there's a scary themed bar and restaurant called Times Scare.
Oh,
what's Times Scare?
It has a haunted house all year round in it, and it's just a spooky bar.
I gotta say that in the last few years, we've really extended Halloween stuff. Like, there was always like Halloween stores, but now you can get your scares in 24/7, 365. No matter what, you can get a scare whenever you want it. There's always some scary stuff going on. It's strange to me, right? Like I feel like The Walking Dead got really big as a show, and now there's like kind of like there's a maze in New York City. You can go to, like you were saying, like in Vegas they have this scare thing where they blindfold you and put you through. It's interesting to me, but it doesn't have to do with food. But
yeah, I'm surprised by the persistence of haunted hayrides. Like that feels like an old-timey tradition that should have died out. And it's 2015, and people are going on haunted hayrides all the time.
The one in Griffith Park is terrifying.
I've heard it's good.
It's one of the scariest things at Halloween.
That's why Mark Cuban invested for Shark Tank. Actually,
yeah,
he truly did.
Are you sure he didn't? Sorry, are you sure he didn't invest in the Great American Campout?
It was the same people who did the hayride that were there, like, and they're like, "Hey, sharks, we got something for you," and then like zombies came out, and all the sharks were scared, and the sharks don't usually get scared, so it was a big moment. Anyway,
Sharks got scared.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Spoon Man. Our favorite sponsor, True Classic, is here to help you end the old year with a new you and clothes that'll give you the confidence to tackle those 2024 resolutions. True Classic's ultra-comfortable, perfect-fitting essentials range from fitted t-shirts, athleisure, jeans, sweaters, outerwear, and more. True Classic has everything you need to hit the gym. Take it slow or treat yourself to something nice. I like the last two. They've already helped over 2 million men look great in their apparel, and now you can save big while you do so. For a limited time only, get 25% off when you shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/doughboys. I'm a big fan of the True Classic t-shirts. I got quite a few of them. One, they just fit me right. They know how to fit my body. They feel nice. That's the big part of it. They're so soft, and soft usually means dollar signs, but with True Classic, that's not the case. They're affordable. They feel nice. Wally and Irma love to sit on them. I love to wear them. They're the best. With the new year in full swing, True Classics activewear shirts and shorts will suffice for both workouts and lounging at home. Their activewear crew necks provide moisture-wicking, odor control, quick dry, and antimicrobial finish for maximum comfort, all of which covers our listeners pretty well.
Pair that with their ultra soft, super stretchy joggers, and you'll be feeling comfortable all day. All their shirts are made to accentuate the places the eye goes to first. Tighter in the arms and chest, but leaves the perfect amount of room in your midsection. The best part is that True Classic sells premium products at an affordable price. You can get their best-selling t-shirts, hoodies, jeans, and more in 3, 6, and 9 packs. In True Classic fashion, they have re-engineered outerwear for men. True Classic also offers stylish and comfortable outerwear ranging from lightweight puffer jackets to cashmere sweaters, fleece shackets, and bomber jackets. They're not too bulky or too tight and perfect for wearing with your favorite True Classic products. Add in their beanie and scarf and you're all set. When it comes to sweatshirts, their hoodies and crews will become your go-to for casual Fridays, game days, and trips to the gym. I'm a huge fan of their zip hoodie, which I wear pretty much every single day. Seriously, whatever you choose, you can't go wrong with True Classic. All their clothing can be mixed and matched and designed to work with your lifestyle. In fact, True Classic is so committed to their products, they even have a 100% perfect fit guarantee and easy returns. So, if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/doughboys and save up to 25% off your first order. Make 2024 your most stylish year yet with True Classic. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Spoon Man. Do you ever feel like money is just flying out of your account and you have no idea where it's going? Well, I know. It's all those subscriptions. Think about it. Between streaming services, fitness apps, delivery services, parenting apps, it's endless. I'm guilty of this myself, so I used Rocket Money to help me find out what subscriptions I'm actually spending money on. It was eye-opening, and I had them cancel the ones I didn't want anymore, including Doughboys. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with a tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service. They'll even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/doughboys. That's rocketmoney.com/doughboys, rocketmoney.com/doughboys, and cancel Doughboys.
I want to say that for me, Chili's is kind of a big deal for the reason in that it was kind of the first chain I really went to or even thought about, like when people were like, oh, there's like a Chili's, I think in Braintree or something. And I was like, oh, crazy. And they have like buffalo fingers and stuff like that. And so it was kind of my first real experience with like a huge chain. And besides like, Chuck E. Cheese, it kind of brought it into the adult realm for me. So that was a reason why it kind of stands out in my mind.
Well, and you and I were talking earlier, Mitch, and you had because you're from Quincy, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And that was like a big, like Chili's was kind of the big thing there, right?
Well,
or is this more of a personal thing?
I don't know if Quincy officially has a Chili's. They have a TGI Fridays.
Okay.
But in Ithaca.
Oh, this is where you went to college. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I went to Ithaca in upstate New York, and a Chili's opened there, I think, like my sophomore year. And we went to Chili's like quite a bit, and I like remember it fondly, which is maybe like a sad state for my college experience, that I was like, I liked those days of going to Chili's with my friends and like eating the chips and getting like frozen margaritas. But it was a place we went to quite a bit. It was like there's not a lot to do in Ithaca, so maybe that's a part of it. And it was just this kind of like, I felt like an adult and was drinking margaritas and watching basketball games. It was a blast. It was kind of, it holds a little spot in my heart. I love the place. So.
Well, let's get into it. Let's talk about Chili's. So, Eva, you went recently. You went on a trip this past week, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about your experience.
I went with. I had the same thing happen where I told the people at my job that I was going to Chili's for a podcast, and one of the writers, Shane, went, "Oh, I love Chili's. Can I come with you?" So he drove an hour. It was an hour drive from downtown at rush hour to get to Chili's in the rain.
Apologies.
No, it was great. And then we got there, and do you want me to just break down my trip?
Go for it.
Okay, so Yeah, so we got inside. It was 6:00. It was pretty empty. We sat at our little booth. They only had little booths. And I ordered a skinny margarita, and he ordered a giant beer, one of the house brews. Maybe they had house brews. He ordered some beer. And then we noticed the first thing that popped out, of course. Could we talk about the Ziosk?
I think we have to. Yeah, this is so. If you haven't been to Chili's in the past few years, I'm not sure how recent of an innovation this is, but it feels pretty recent. But the new feature on the tablescape is the Ziosk, which is it's basically a tablet on a stand that allows a party to order a limited number of things from the menu. You still mostly order from your server, but I think you can order dessert from the Ziosk. And then it also has some touchscreen features like you can play Bejeweled on it. And it also serves the purpose of when you pay your check at the end of the meal, you have to use the Ziosk. You don't pay your server anymore. So it's a little strange. I'm not sure if you had the same thing from your server, but our waiter at some point said, here's the Ziosk. This is going to make my job obsolete. Like
He said those words?
Yeah.
He did, and he was kind of like laughing about it, but then I was also like, well, it's kind of true. This is like messed up.
It really, it's like they're trying it out while they still have waiters there, and then you can kind of see the writing on the wall, I guess, if you work there.
There's a button on it that says, there's a couple things I liked about it. One of it was that, because you have a menu, and then there's pictures in the menu and descriptions of the food, but then there's also pictures of the same food on the Ziosk, but you can't order it there. You can just like look at it. And next to the descriptions of the kind of longer descriptions of the food, there's a button that says read less if you just don't want to read it so much, which I liked. And
Every American loves that phrase.
And then there is a button to reorder drinks, but it's kind of tiny. And our waitress, who was very nice, she didn't joke, but she just kept coming by and being like, do you want more drinks? Because maybe you didn't see the button on the thing. So she was still asking us if we wanted more drinks because the Ziosk wasn't, like, it didn't totally do the job of being the main thing that you use to get more drinks, I guess.
Yeah. You need, like, an orientation, I feel like, for the Ziosk. It's, like, a little complicated, and things are hidden in sub-menus.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know about this. We tried to use the Ziosk, and I didn't even know about that you could reorder drinks from it. Our guy just
I had no idea about that.
It was hidden in the corner. We used it to play trivia against people in, I believe, other Chili's around the country.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
And you could watch them in real time play trivia.
Oh, you have to see them?
No, you saw their names pop.
Oh, okay. I was grossed out to be thinking of seeing like other Americans eating chili.
But they weren't good at it. When we were doing the health and fitness category, there were like a million categories and mostly sports. But in the health and fitness categories, there were a lot of normal questions. And then one of them, like, what person won the gold medal for this sport or whatever? And then one of them just was like half of a sentence. It was just like, new kind of spin class. And the answer was Soul Cycle. But it was just sort of like,
what?
It's like someone just didn't write the whole question. It was really weird. And then there's a bunch of apps. You could play like Plants vs. Zombies.
I saw that.
My friend noticed when he got up was he walked around and said there were a lot of solo diners and they were playing games on the Ziosk.
Oh, wow.
So what it kind of is, I think, is like a screen if you're just like, you can't deal with eating Chili's by yourself.
But I don't understand because like it costs money to play those games, right? There's like a nominal fee.
It's 99 cents for the Ziosk for the whole meal.
So it's 99 cents to use the Ziosk, and I feel like I guess if you don't, why wouldn't you just use your phone?
Almost all the apps you can have on your phone.
Yeah. So I don't quite understand the utility of it, but I don't know. I guess it's working for them. It is very strange that I think like part of the reason people go to like a full service casual restaurant like a Chili's is for a little bit of hospitality, and I think it makes the whole experience a little colder.
It is, but the world is getting colder, and I kind of like.
The world is getting colder?
I don't know. Oh no, it's getting warmer. Literally. But I'm saying emotionally, and like soon robots are gonna do stuff like that, and I think we should. I don't know. A part of me kind of thinks it's cool that they're tackling it a little bit. Like soon food will come out like from a robot, and I think that's cool and kind of Jetsons-esque. But I feel like. Yeah, you're right. There's always that thing of, hey, I need to pay in cash or I need to do this or that. And and also just talking to a human being. Although I feel like our guy was joking so much.
Oh, man.
And I think I preferred the Zeos to our server. Not to be a jerk, he was a nice man, but he was. Full disclosure, right? Jack Allison, my roommate, called ahead to Chili's as a joke to tell him that 2 reviewers were coming. So when we got there, I think they were looking for 2 guys, and they were like, "Is your booth like up to standard?" And we were like, "Yeah, the booth is fine. Everything is good." And he will never do that again. But I had to get that off my chest because Jack did do that.
Jack shouldn't have done that.
I know. I think we got a pretty fair experience of what it was overall anyways. Like, I also don't think that they cared at all.
Yeah. What are you reviewing at this point? How can you hurt them?
Yeah, I think Jack said that the response to him calling was kind of like, "What?" And then, okay. And then he was like, "Do you have any suggestions?" And the guy was like, "Burgers are good." Like, didn't really give like any real thing. So, but I had to get it off my chest. It was something that Jack did, but I don't think it made our experience any different.
I don't think it didn't feel like it contaminated the experience.
It did not. No.
So let's talk about the food. So what did you order, Eva?
We ordered the 2 for $20 special, which is a dinner special where you get for $20 1 appetizer and 2 full-size entrees off of specific lists. So we got fried pickles as our appetizer, and then Shane got the half rack of baby back ribs, original style, and I got Chipotle honey chicken crispers.
Gotcha.
Ah, okay.
So those are like a chicken tenders with sort of a glaze.
Doused with a dousing of a thing.
Let's start with the apps because you had the fried pickles. We got a 3-way apps. So we got the crispy cheddar bites, which are a recent addition to the menu, as I believe the fried pickles are too. They're
Yes.
the newer apps. We got the boneless buffalo wings, which are Chili's classic. I think they were the first franchise to have boneless wings.
Yeah.
And I think they do it pretty well.
They do a great job with their boneless wings. I really think that they're great. In other places, they sometimes get kind of too slimy, like coated in buffalo sauce. They do a good job.
I think the issue with boneless wings is that a lot of times they lose like kind of the textural quality of eating like a wings, and I feel like they retain it a little bit with whatever breading they do on at Chili's. And then we also got the Southwest egg rolls, which I think are another kind of Chili signature. What did you think of the fried pickles?
I was disappointed. I found them very underdone. They were white. They didn't even have any really golden brown coating.
Wait, like the outside was white?
Yeah, which
Ooh.
is not what you want your fried pickle to be. And they were coins, which I prefer a spear on a fried pickle. I should have seen that in the photo and just chosen differently, but I did the fried pickle. The buttermilk dipping sauce was fine, but overall I found the pickles a little underwhelming.
We were with our triple combo. We got 3 dipping sauces, and I think until we were 90% done with them, we thought they were 3 of the same sauce. They were just like 3 different white, like creamy, different, salad dressings basically. And eventually, Mitch figured out that one of the 3 was blue cheese and not buttermilk ranch.
The other 2 could have been different. We're still not sure. They were just white, and they were good. I liked every dip that was there, but it was just kind of just a white gloop, like a ranch / whatever sauce, buttermilk. There's a lot of shit in there. Who knows?
I had a similar reaction to the crispy cheddar bites. They weren't prepared incorrectly. They were nice and golden brown, but they were just a little bit of an underwhelming. Like they were just, I think, globs of mozzarella with some sort of coating on the outside.
Not even cheddar?
Oh, I guess they were cheddar. Like they said cheddar. I don't know. They tasted like mozzarella to me.
They for all of our Midwest listeners, they reminded me. There's no listeners yet, but maybe someday. They reminded me a lot of cheese curds. They were just kind of like, they reminded me of like when I went to Wisconsin and had cheese curds. They were good. They were just like terribly bad for you, but we wolfed those down. We
got through
enjoyed them. Yeah.
And then boneless wings we talked about. Southwest egg rolls. What did you think, Mitch?
I enjoyed them. I know that Nick really burned his mouth when he ate one of the Southwest egg rolls, and maybe you can take some points off for that. But they're good. I'm not really a big egg roll guy.
Oh, you aren't?
I'm not. No, I don't know. Like, especially just like vegetable egg rolls. I'm like, I don't know.
You don't like fusion egg rolls, really?
I like if there's like a little chicken in there or something, which these do have. I enjoy them, and I kind of like this more because it's like a Tex-Mex, like corn and black beans and stuff, but. Like a traditional Chinese egg roll that's just kind of like the vegetables, veggie egg roll. It's not my favorite thing in the world. And
these are pretty far removed from egg rolls, though, I feel
they 100%. They're nothing like them.
They're closer because they got black beans, I think, maybe corn, some
They're
chicken.
kind of like a fajita roll-up that's deep fried
Yeah.
is the best way to describe them.
They have some fusion egg rolls at California Pizza Kitchen as well. I believe they have a variety of a couple different types you can get.
So Eva, you mentioned this to us before we started. You worked at California Pizza Kitchen, is that correct?
For 2 years in college, I was a host and then a waiter. And I pulled a chair out from under a woman while she was sitting down.
Oh my
she fell
God.
on the floor and she's holding a baby.
Oh my God.
Didn't get fired for that. Stuck
There's-
around long enough to quit.
And the baby was okay?
Everyone was fine.
Okay.
There was no one I didn't even get in trouble.
Did they get a comped meal?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
My boss, Tom, who later would get fired for showing up at work with drunk, talked the woman down and convinced her he was going to fire me. And then she came to my defense. He wasn't.
Wow.
He just told me to hide in the back. And he's like, I'm handling this.
Oh,
he was
boy.
he's like, Eva feels really bad about what she did, but I won't accept her apology. She will pay.
Oh, my God.
And then the woman was like, don't fire her. And so it all turned out fine. And then later, when he showed up drunk and got fired, I threw my apron down. I was like, if you fire Tom, then I quit. Because I knew I was like on borrowed time because Tom covered for me constantly.
Because you kept pulling chairs out from places.
That's terrible at my job. I wouldn't wash my shirt. I was like disgusting.
Oh my God.
Eva, we kind of built you up as one of the classiest people we know.
I'm not that classy.
Your whole experience kind of reminds me of that Dane Cook movie where he works in that like Chili's ripoff place. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Waiting? No.
No.
I think it is called Waiting, right?
Maybe it is
With
Waiting.
Ryan,
Oh yeah.
Ryan Reynolds.
And now that title just clicked with me. He's a waiter.
That
And
just
it's
clicked
called,
with you?
Yeah, it just clicked with me.
What do you think he was waiting for?
And also Click just clicked with me, the Adam Sandler movie, because it's a remote control. All right, good, cool. I knew that I would figure some stuff out on this podcast. Go ahead.
So like, let's talk. Your like that seems like such a dramatic cinematic exit, like spiking your apron, and that was the end of your tenure at California Pizza Kitchen.
Yeah, I didn't actually physically do it, but I did tell them I was quitting, and then they kept calling me from corporate saying, "Don't quit." They didn't want me to quit because Tom was fired, and I had to finally tell them, "Look, you don't want me as a waiter at your restaurant. I pulled a chair out from under a woman, and she fell on the ground. It's not on my record, but like you should stop calling my house." Tom's doing great now. He lives in the Hamptons.
Oh, good for him.
He changed careers.
How's the baby?
I don't know. I think something terrible could have happened. I don't know.
Jesus.
No, she's fine. She wasn't even crying. Everything turned out fine. It was a very slow fall, like a really slow fall.
Yeah, it's good, and it kind of it builds a baby up and makes him stronger. I'm sure.
Yeah, it was just a moment of confusion. I thought she was kicking the chair away. She said, "I need a high chair." She kicked the chair away. I thought she meant put the high chair there, so I pulled it away.
Was she a mean lady? Or was she very nice?
She was just confused.
Oh, okay.
She was so confused as to what was happening. Tom Hanks came in once too.
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks went to a California Pizza Kitchen.
Yeah,
Huh?
with Rita Wilson and 2 little boys, and I realize now one of them was Chet Hayes.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
They left-
Did he wrap his order to you?
No, he was like 10, but he left greasy little handprints all over the big glass window.
Ugh.
Oh, Chet.
Or-
Wash those hands.
Or
Chet.
Tom Hanks' tiny baby hands. I don't know. I didn't look.
I think it's Tom Hanks' tiny baby hands. Do you know after he did Big, everything went back to the normal size besides his hands. So, all right.
Mitch, I don't think you understand how movies work. I don't think you understand the difference between fiction
man.
and reality.
It's my first bomb on the podcast. I was going to say, just quickly,
Yeah.
so this idea of celebrity. You grew up in a Hollywood family, right?
Right.
And your father was an actor. And did he take you guys to like? Would you go to chain restaurants? Was that still a big part of your life, or?
Yeah, my dad kind of is very weird about restaurants, and any place he lives, there's like maybe 2 places he'll go, period, he'll eat at.
Okay.
He just hates new things. So when we lived in Seattle, outside Seattle, we would only go to this one chain Mexican restaurant. And then he did TGI Fridays commercials up in the Northwest. And so he got a card that meant he could eat for free at any TGI Fridays. So we would go there a lot.
He got a TGI Fridays black card.
He got a black card, yeah. It expired though. I tried to get it from him, and he was like, "No, it doesn't work anymore." Or else he just threw it away. I don't know. But we went to TGI Fridays a lot, and I loved that place. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. I just read a thing on Jared Fogle, which
Jared, how's he doing?
I can't believe I spent time reading. He's good.
Did he gain the weight back?
No, he's not. He's trim, and he's with his second wife, and he has a couple kids. But I also was reading some stuff about Jared being kind of a jerk.
Oh, he's mean?
Yeah, I think he's kind of a mean man.
Does he get free Subway at all the Subways? He walking out like, "I'm Jared."
Well, the thing I read, it was an older article. I read kind of multiple articles on him. It was he didn't, like, in an interview, he's like, "No, I wish I could get one of those." And then I read a later one that was like, he uses his Subway black card all the time. And I was like, oh, he must have pushed for one at some point and got his Subway card. But
why didn't they just give him one?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. He's a good example of eating Subway. He's the only man to lose weight eating Subway.
That cat, I coincidentally had read Jared Fogle's Wikipedia entry within the past month, and that campaign began in 1999. That's been going for a while.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you were born the year that Jared Fogle started doing Subway ads, you can now legally drive a car. It's like a lot of time has passed, and he's just a celebrity that everyone knows.
There was all those babies 9 months after the first Jared Fogle Subway ads.
Yeah, the old Fogle baby.
Let's get back to Chili's. So, talking about your mains, remind us again what you got for your entree.
Chipotle chicken crispers, served with corn on the cob and steak fries.
Gotcha.
And
great.
the baby back ribs also served with fries.
Now, Mitch got the baby back ribs for his main, and you talked about your friend got the original sauce, but Chili's now offers a few different sauces. And the ones you got were...
Dr. Pepper was one of them.
Yeah, it's a
Dr. Pepper sauce. Mm-hmm. And a beer sauce that was a local beer, right? I think, maybe not.
I think they just said craft beer in the abstract.
Beer, yeah. And I bit into the craft beer ribs, and I was like, whoa, those are the Dr. Pepper ones. That's crazy. And then I bit into the Dr. Pepper ribs, and I was like, oh, my God, that's the Dr. Pepper ribs, and they taste so much like Dr. Pepper that it's bizarre and gross.
I had one of your ribs, and I had one of the Dr. Pepper ribs, and I found it repulsive. Like, it was really hard. It was so sweet, and it tasted so much like Dr. Pepper, and that compared with meat was just a very bizarre sensation.
Like prunes and sugar. And...
Well, our waiter primed us for it. He was like, Dr. Pepper sauce tastes exactly like Dr. Pepper, and he was right. It was unmistakable.
Yeah. Why would...
Sorry for giving him a hard time earlier. He was spot on.
I've had this thought sometimes that it's so interesting to me that we eat a hamburger and we have it in our mouth and then we wash it down with like an ice cream drink or the sweetest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And we want to have those both in our mouth at the same time. But then yet, if the Dr. Pepper's on the meat, instead of just being washing down the meat, it's disgusting.
That's a good point. I'm not like a bacon and dessert sort of guy. I'm not big on that. I like to keep my sweet and savory separate. But I didn't have a problem with the Dr. Pepper sauce as much as Nick did. You were pretty repulsed. But it was still a little strange. I mean, it just was that taste of Dr. Pepper. It felt like, scientists boiled down this taste and they got it, and you can have it on anything you want. But the ribs are good, and I never had the ribs before. And Chili's they're known for a couple things. One for their fajitas, which we found out. and for their baby back ribs, which we all know the song and everything like that.
Yeah, and while we're on that subject, if you no doubt know the song, but I'll just go ahead and play it for us. This is from the campaign that began back in the 90s.
I want my baby back. Chili, baby back rib. I want my baby. Chili, baby back rib. I got my baby back ribs.
We all remember that song, and then a few years later, they took that and it was performed by NSYNC, and that was this version.
I want my baby back. 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 Ribs. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. Chili's baby back ribs.
The helicopter crashes at the end?
I believe that the sound effects that you're hearing it's a helicopter over a deserted island where they're singing the baby back ribs song for some reason, and then a crate, I think, of ribs drops down, and so then they're happy. I think that's what the arc of that commercial is.
They aren't going to last. Like, the ribs are going to go bad.
I would think so, yeah, that they have a limited shelf life as it is, and then on a desert island with no refrigeration, I mean, they're not long for this world.
Well, that's also like, if I was on like a beach, that's the last thing I would want is like sticky ribs, and like sand being
ribs
all over you. That's that was NSYNC?
That was NSYNC, yeah. They had this was, I don't remember the year, but that was after the Chili song had been established and became a part of our culture. Then, yeah, a few years later, they did one with NSYNC.
Do you think Joey Fatone has a black card?
I don't know the perks of doing an ad for Chili's, but I think so. I would hope so.
The fat one, as he was known, I'm sure he's got a black card. He probably took all the black cards.
Is that really how he was known?
Yeah, Joey Fatone, like, because his last name is Fat One.
And he was the fat one.
And he kind of was the fat one. He's also like 200 pounds lighter than I am, by the way. I know too much about NSYNC because I came of age when they were popular, and it made me sad. That I was like in high school, like, like I graduated in 2001. And it was like NSYNC was the band that everyone, was a huge band. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, this is what we're known for. This is our generation's music, I guess. It bummed me out a little bit. But I will say that version of the Baby Back rib song is pretty good. They did a good job.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's also insane. Like, would One Direction do like a Burger King? I guess maybe they would.
I think of course they would. I think they could totally find a situation where that was worth their time and money.
The Spice Girls had that Pepsi ad.
That's true, yeah.
And there's a full length version of that song on their second album of their Pepsi theme song.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, it's
That's
like
pretty awesome.
They try to make it a single of just like, this is a Pepsi theme because
Do they sing about Pepsi?
No, they just sing about we're the new generation, move over, generation next.
Oh, God.
Why not just go for it though? Like, I feel like that's like I feel like there's not enough just selling out all the way. I like that a lot. I know in Japan there's they created this video game character Pepsi Man, and there's just a Dreamcast game you can play that's called Pepsi Man. That's apparently pretty playable and it was decently received at the time. But yeah, I almost wish there was more just like crass marketing tie-ins like
there
that.
Was Cool Spot for Super Nintendo I was a big fan of.
That's true. Yeah, that was a very fun game. And that wasn't the end of the Chili's Baby Back Rib song. Its impact on pop culture. It was also famously used by Fat Bastard in Austin Powers' The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Dr. Evil, let me make you a deal, all right? You get the motor, you keep your money, and I'll get your baby. Right. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs.
Excuse me.
Chili baby back ribs.
Yeah.
Not seeing that, not only hearing that, it sounds like he was really half-assing that.
Yeah, it's like he kept forgetting ribs was at the end of it.
Yeah.
My guess is that it was an ad lib on set. And that this would have, when did the movie come out? 1999? So this wasn't like, oh, I could just look it up on YouTube and see how the song goes. He was just sort of like, oh yeah, the Baby Back Ribs song. Yeah, I remember that. And then he was just sort of riffing, and they were like, this is great, let's keep it in. But yeah, it's really like it's pretty inaccurate.
Props to Mike Myers for gaining all that weight and losing it, though, within the course of the movie. I thought that was pretty good.
Mitch, you don't know what movies are.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to eat Vern Troyer's ribs.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
He wants to eat the meat off of his human ribs.
I was saying to Nick that a joke I didn't get while watching that movie, it is really funny that he thinks Mini-Me is a baby. Like that this baby is dressed in a suit and can walk around, and I guess he doesn't talk, right? I guess Mini-Me doesn't talk. But you are right. He wants to rip his ribs out and like eat them like he eats ribs. So Fat Bastard's kind of a really fucked up character.
It's really like he's talking about dismembering a small man and eating him for sustenance.
Just his ribs.
Just his ribs, yeah.
He could get normal ribs.
Yeah.
He could get baby back. He could get pork ribs.
Yeah, and I'm sure he does pretty well as a villain, so he could do. He probably has money.
Let's get back to the food. So, what did you think of your entree?
I thought the ribs were fine. Mm-hmm. They were a little gray and a little hospital foody, but good. And I feel like it sounds like I'm being really critical, but I do love chain restaurant food. These were this came out, they were a little visually underwhelming overall. The entrees, they were a little like cafeteria looking.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think one thing and I think this sometimes is a thing to evaluate with chain restaurants is, you know, the ideal is consistency, that you would go to the one in, Fairbanks, Alaska, and it would be the exact same as the one in Sioux City, Iowa. But sometimes that's not the case. And sometimes you have individual franchises that really deviate from a quality standpoint from what the corporate expectation is.
Yeah.
So you can never really account for that. And I feel like when, places that people... It's great when you can find a place that's just always like at that same level,
Yeah, that's just like the good standard.
And that's sad to hear because I thought Chili's was pretty good at that. Also, our ribs were so slathered in that sauce.
Oh yeah.
That I couldn't see if they were gray, anyways. But
the ribs were fine, and they came with the little wipey hand things, which was nice. And the fries were good. I found the Chipotle chicken crispers to be have the sweetness problem that your Dr. Pepper ribs did. They were basically just soaked in this weird like maple syrup that didn't really have a spice to it. It was just so sweet that they were very soggy and weird.
Yeah, the places throw around Chipotle a lot, that word, and then it just sort of to generically mean anything that has a little bit of spice to it, but sometimes the heat is not even really perceptible.
It's red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on that note, I had the Sweet and Smoky Burger, which was a recommendation, and which was basically a kind of like a Hardee's or Carl's Jr. style barbecue bacon cheeseburger. Had bacon on it, had a smoky barbecue sauce, and had a couple of onion rings and some pickles. And I thought it was pretty satisfying. But yes, it was a little sweet for my taste. I'd almost like just to tone that down a little bit, maybe a little bit more tang, a little bit less sugar.
Yeah,
acid.
Yeah.
I would say because I tried some of Nick's burger and it was just so weird that it was called the Sweet and Smoky Burger to me because it wasn't that smoky. And the sweetness, I didn't get as much sweetness as you did. I was just kind of like, it's whatever. Like, this just tastes like a regular burger, which was good. It was very good. Especially Chili's burgers are good, but it didn't give what it advertised. I kind of wanted more of that flavor with it. And
I will say though, I think you do raise a good point. Like if you're going to Chili's, I think a burger is a great option. The Big Mouth burgers, by and large, they're very solid, and they deliver on what you'd expect from a restaurant burger.
I like that they call their sandwiches section handhelds. Do you guys notice that? Sandwiches are just handhelds.
That makes sense. Wouldn't be confusing at all to anyone. I feel like, does that mean that like they have other things that like you can't even put these things in your hands? They're too big. Is that like what it's trying to say? Or
I don't know.
I don't know what's behind that one, Chili's. But I really enjoyed the ribs overall. I'm not a big rib guy. I want to say I've never really like loved ribs. And I'm sure that people who are like rib enthusiasts are like, oh, Chili's ribs are garbage, but I thought they fell off the bone pretty easily, and the sauce was pretty good, and because of that song, I was like, I've never had the Chili's baby back ribs, and I feel like I need to get them, and they were good. But my question is that it's called Chili's, and your great introduction talked about chili. There is no chili on that menu, is there?
It's a good point. There may be, I could be mistaken. Maybe you can get a side of chili. Maybe you can get chili. Maybe there's a chili burger somewhere on the menu, though I didn't see it. But
there's chili con queso.
There's chili con queso, okay.
Oh, okay.
I do know their original menu, which I looked up, their original like kind of handwritten menu, and they have it on the wall as a feature at some franchises. It lists basically three things. It lists chili, burgers, and tacos. So I think the originally Chili's had chili, and that was a big thing of theirs. And I think as they expanded, they sort of excised that from their menu proper.
Yeah, it seems weird. It seems like it should still be kind of a big dish, a non-handheld. It should be somewhere on that of the bowl list or whatever the hell the other ones are.
Then again, their iconography is sort of shifted to it's like a chili pepper is more like that's the apostrophe. That's their logo is the red chili pepper.
Okay.
And like if you use at our location, the door handles were Chili's.
That's
which I
true.
think is a pretty common feature. So I think they sort of now they sort of mean it Chili's from a spicy standpoint.
Which I also don't think too much about Chili's. I'm not like, ooh, can't go in there. That's spicy stuff. The buffalo fingers are good, but well, whatever. It's its own thing now. Chili's. The name means something different. It's changed. But
I agree.
And another thing too is that they were known for their fajitas. If you
Yeah, that's great. That's correct. They didn't invent fajitas, but they sort of expanded fajitas in the public consciousness. And Chili's actually patented the sizzle sound that their fajitas make when they're delivered on a skillet.
How do they patent it?
I don't know exactly how it works, but they apparently have like some sort of patent on the particular sound that it makes when it's in that little iron skillet.
Maybe there's a battery under the skillet or something.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that's the kind of thing, kind of chicanery that sometimes happens in the corporate world. But I think like. I will say that fajitas, and I think I would say this broader than Chili's. I feel like fajitas always like sound and smell better than they are as like a meal. Like I feel like anytime like you see someone walking through a restaurant with a plate of fajitas and like everyone's head swivel like, whoa, what'd that guy order? It's like a big event, and they bring it out and other people are ordering fajitas. But I think when you actually get them, they're always like, all right, I'd rather just like have tacos or not something that I had to fucking assemble myself,
That's what Evan Susser told us this fact about the fajitas, and he told me something about how when someone ordered, and the part of the reason that they got this patent or whatever is when someone ordered fajitas and other customers would hear it coming out, then like after that there was like some rate in which people continued to order fajitas. Like it was like every like 3 minutes after that, like a new person ordered fajitas. It was something very strange, but that sound. You know what I think? You know what I honestly think it is that you're at like a big corporate restaurant, and the fact that you hear something cooking, like you're like, oh, that thing is actually cooking on the plate.
Sure.
There's no way it's not like that chicken's not getting roasted or the steak is not like turning brown. Maybe that is enough for people to be like, I'm going to eat something that like was truly cooked and not just like came the way it was, Like they didn't open a box and pour like a hot meal out of it or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
The way they put the fake charbroil burger marks on the Burger King burgers.
Oh, sure,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too, though, honestly. I think that it stands out. If you've ever looked at a McDonald's patty, it's very gray, just like the ribs,
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, all food service is a little bit of showmanship, right? Like, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk beverages. So I got the El Nino margarita, which is one of their signature margaritas, and Mitch, I believe you got the blueberry pineapple margarita. Eva, what did you get to drink?
I got the skinny margarita.
Oh, that's correct. You said that earlier. So what was your assessment of it?
It was very sweet, but I thought it was pretty solid.
Now, is it skinny because it's like lower in sugar? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think it's like a diet or whatever. It's like 100 calories for the whole margarita.
Gotcha.
So it's pretty solid.
Is
But
it a brand? Is Skinny Margarita a brand or?
No, it's not like Skinny Girl.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking.
It's
of.
its own thing. But actually, I've noticed a lot of chain restaurants have like skinny cocktail menus right now.
Sure.
And they're really like Cheesecake Factory has an excellent one.
Okay.
And yeah, they're pretty good. I didn't regret my margarita purchase.
My issue with my margarita is it was good, but I think just a little on the sweet side. And again, maybe this is just like a running thing with me. Maybe I just like prefer less sugar than average. But I feel like the El Nino margarita, which kind of has pineapple chunks in it, and I think some pineapple juice, lime and orange. Maybe it's not orange, maybe it's lemon. But yeah, it's a lot of like it's a lot of juice feel to it. Less margarita than juice. You're not getting that much of an alcohol bite.
Yeah, we were talking about that because rum is one of my favorite boozes to drink, and I as far as liquors go, it's kind of like a sweet, liquor, and it's kind of like served in with juices, but I love a rum drink that's like kind of has like a tough. Like I like it sweet, but you also get like a kick of that rum. And my drink, I had the blueberry pineapple margarita. It was just like drinking like a high C drink or something. It was so sweet. It was good. It was delicious. I really enjoyed it. And actually, I complained to Nick because in college, at that Chili's in Ithaca, they used to sugar rim your glasses, and I think that they still do it. And I was really kind of expecting a sugar rimmed glass, and I didn't get it. And I kind of wanted that full. I knew what I was doing when I got it. I kind of wanted like the full on sugar experience, but I didn't get it. But
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you first.
No, just it had some fruit in it, and which I ate and was kind of terrible. So go ahead, yeah, please.
Oh, I went to Guy's American Kitchen and Bar and Grill or whatever in I'm blanking on the exact name, but in Times Square, I ordered a pumpkin beer and it came rimmed in sugar.
Wow, a beer.
A beer. A pint glass rimmed in like pumpkin spice and sugar.
I like that. See, because some people are gonna be like, "That's gross," and I'm like, "Well, isn't like salting a rim gross too, right?"
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with sugaring the rim, but I feel like for a beer that seems a little excessive. Was it a super pumpkin-y tasting beer, or
no? It's slightly pumpkin-y. The whole experience I was startled by that part of it.
Yeah, that feels like a strange choice.
Yeah,
well, pumpkin shouldn't be eaten. Like we put pumpkin in a lot of stuff. Like it's not. I've eaten raw pumpkin in a bit before, and it's not good.
Yeah, you're talking about the time you and the Birthday Boys ate an entire raw pumpkin on stage.
Yeah, we ate an entire raw pumpkin, and it's not good.
You're not supposed to eat it like that, Mitch.
I know, but
you're supposed to cook it.
Are there other things like that? Where I mean, like maybe dough or something.
I would say most food is like that. You don't eat raw meat. You don't eat raw.
Oh, you can eat raw meat though.
You don't eat raw potato. You can do these things. You did eat a raw pumpkin. It was a mistake. It was not something you should have done.
Are you just judging all food based on if you cram it in your mouth raw? Is it good?
Pumpkins are big too. You can't eat those like an apple or something. You're not supposed to eat these things.
Wait.
Well, okay, how's this? For a thing that you're not supposed to eat so much, we've gone cuckoo crazy with it, and we put it in everything we got,
Wait, you're going back to you're not supposed to eat it so much because it's too bigger than an apple, and if you eat an entire one raw, you'll puke.
I think your standards for what food can actually be considered, you're ruling out like bananas because you have to peel that. I feel like you basically just have apples. That's the only thing you could eat.
Or like a smaller apple.
Yeah.
I ate the inside of the pumpkin too. I did eat the outer shell a little bit, but I also kind of ate the inner shell and the kind of, what would you call it, the guts, I guess. That's also, see, pumpkin has guts.
Hey, Rich, I have a question. This entire thing's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Oh, God, yeah.
Will you tell people how to find it?
If you search Birthday Boys Eat a Pumpkin on YouTube, you can probably see us eat that pumpkin on stage.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's a bit we've done like 5 times over every Halloween that we've done a show. So
it's like basically when your laziness outweighs how much like physical discomfort you're willing to endure. You're like, well, we'll just eat a pumpkin on stage.
Yes, 100%. That's like people getting naked on stage too. I feel like it's a very similar thing. It's like, well, laugh at this, my body, I guess, or something.
Overall, let's sort of give our overall evaluation. What do we think about Chili's? Let's say we're going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5 forks, 5 being the best. We'll start with you, Eva.
I was disappointed with the food. That was the worst part of the experience for me. Though the fries were fine. The drinks were better than the food. The overall experience was interesting because of the Ziosk. I would give it 3 forks.
3 forks. Okay, fair. I would say I'm going to be nice to this one. I really enjoy Chili's, so I got to go with 4 forks. I'm not a huge rib guy. And the rib experience was nice, but I don't like to get messy. We talked about this. I don't like getting my hands messy. I can't look people in the eye when I feel like I have like I can't look them in the eyes when I feel like I have food on my face. And that's the way I felt the entire time. I was ashamed or something, which is strange. And I probably have some other issue, but I don't love the rib experience, but everything else was good. The fries were great. The buffalo chicken tenders are delicious, and all the other wraps were good too. I also had broccoli. I told them to kind of just serve it how they served it, and they brought out it was with fries and broccoli, and the broccoli was actually like saltier than the fries. But then again, no one is getting a big rib plate for the broccoli anyway. So 4 forks overall. Our server was nice, but a little overbearing. I preferred the Ziosk, and a nice atmosphere, and also a great lunch companion to my left.
Oh boy, what a thing to say. I'm gonna also go 3 forks. And this is my assessment of Chili's. I feel like my one-word review of Chili's as a chain restaurant is solid. Like it's all like you go into Chili's, you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
They deliver. And I think one thing we didn't touch on, but I'll bring up real quick, is that Chili's also has Chili's 2, which is their airport kiosk version. And I like that it's named Chili's 2. Like they're just kind of saying like, it's another Chili's. We know sequels are never quite as good as the original, but this is basically what you like. And Chili's 2 is fine. It's actually totally solid as far as restaurant airport terminal restaurants go. And part of what elevated our last visit to Chili's outside of the company, a big lug, was our waiter, who I actually enjoyed because I'm a big fan of waiter bits, and he had a few good ones. He was really worried about us saving room for dessert. Like he was really leaning on that to the point where at the end he was like, "You guys promised you saved room for dessert, and you didn't do it." Like he was really but he was doing it in a fun, sort of lighthearted way.
All right, you're right. He won me over right now.
We said we said like, "Oh, we'll try," and then he was like, later on, "You promised," which we didn't promise, but we sort of like, all right.
We wanted to do dessert. We were going to share one, but it was such a huge. We were so full.
Meal. I was ruined for the day. I couldn't do anything else after that meal.
That should be a note. I had a headache that entire rest of the day. So.
I woke up in the night feeling gross.
Oh
yeah, you're gonna pay the price for going to Chili's.
Probably should have brought that up.
That's the thing. Keep in mind that add an asterisk to our fork ratings that you will pay for it. The other waiter bits he had is he introduced himself. I won't give his real name just in case there's some the Encino Chili's or Narcs for whatever reason. But he said, "My name is Peter, but I also respond to Hey You," which I thought was pretty fun. I like that. And there was a point where a baby started crying, and he came up to us and commented by saying, "I hope you're enjoying our live music," which I thought was really cute.
Oh, I didn't get that.
You didn't get it, and I know because you responded kind of obliviously. You were like, "This is live," referring to the piped-in music, and then he added on like yes, it's a cappella. Trying to like.
Sorry, dude. Yeah, no wonder why I didn't like him. I know that he's smarter than I am.
We got 1 3 forks, 1 4 forks, 1 3 forks. That's our assessment. I think overall we like Chili's, right? Like I think we're Chili's fans. But
I just want to say I was sad to hear that the food wasn't consistent with you, because that one of the big things, and a thing that we talked about was a thing that people don't talk about enough is a good fry-later, if a place changing the oil and frying their apps well. And I always feel like Chili's is pretty good with doing stuff like that. And then to hear that your fried food came out a little wonky was sad to me, and
Me too.
I almost want to bring it down to about 3.5 forks, but
No, it wasn't your experience. It was
I
mine.
know. I'm disappointed.
My waitress, just real quick, was like very sweet and she seemed a little overwhelmed. But at the end, when we said, "Can we get our check?" she said, "Oh, you've never been to this Chili's before, have you?" And we said, "Oh no, we have to use the Ziosk." She's like, "Yeah." And she seemed so upset that she thought we were mad. And we're like, "No, we figured it out. There's a button." She's like, "Okay."
This is so sad. Also, why don't they just go all in? How come you can't order your meal on there?
I feel like, it's in this mushy middle right now where you should be able to just use the Ziosk for everything and then you're not even talking to anybody. Or, I don't know, like if you do want to pay the server, why can't they turn the Ziosk around and run your card? But they won't let you do it.
Yeah.
The Ziosk is a negative. Watch for that if you're gonna be going to Chili's and see how that evolves over the years, because I'm hoping that eventually that's a thing they sort of scale back. So that's our assessment of Chili's, but there was someone who didn't have such a great experience. This is a segment that we don't have a name for, but we'll read a 1-star Yelp review of the chain of the week, or the chain of the episode rather. And for now, we'll just call this segment An Unsatisfied Yelper. So this is Sean and Katrina P's 1-star review of a Chili's in Scottsdale, Arizona. Normally, I wouldn't take the time to review a place like Chili's. We all know by now how unoriginal and uninspiring their menu is, and that Chili's is the Denny's of late-night grub. Well, fuck you to Denny's there.
Yeah, I know. They took 2 places down.
Well, having said this, the reason that I'm reviewing Chili's today is to tell you about an interesting thing that happened to my BF and I when we visited this Chili's not too long ago. First, shame on us for resorting to eating here, but it was a cold winter night and we didn't want to venture too far from home.
They live in Scottsdale.
Well, the desert does get a little cool.
I don't know.
It's relative. Their food, their THERE, food is so forgettable that I honestly can't even remember what we had. I just remember that it wasn't that great. I think we had some sort of sliders and maybe some tacos that we took a few bites of and quickly got sick of. The real reason that I am writing, however, is to tell about a lame thing that happened to us when we visited, even lamer than the food. My boy and I were cuddling in a booth, his arm was around my shoulder and my hand was on his thigh. We were talking to each other and laughing to ourselves quietly, nothing out of the ordinary if you ask me. We had ordered a dessert and were eating when all of a sudden the manager of the joint comes up to our booth and says, "How's the dessert? Let's keep it a family restaurant." Before we could even respond, he was gone and we just turned to each other with a bewildered look for the next 5 minutes. We couldn't figure out what we had done, and the more we thought about it, the madder we got. It's not like we were having sex on the table or touching each other inappropriately in the restaurant. We were simply sitting too close to each other, cuddling and eating our dessert. We were so mad that we blew out of that joint and left our unfinished dessert on the table. We have never been back and we probably never will, since we do not want to eat in a place that reprimands you for cuddling and having a good time. If a family restaurant is anything like Chili's, then I never want to eat in a family restaurant again. Keep it a family restaurant, my ass. There's probably more drug deals that go on there than anywhere in Scottsdale.
What?
Quite a turn at the end.
Did they not pay for their food?
I guess it implies that they stormed out without paying. And,
well, if I want to say, first of all, that you spelling out how they spelled there felt like kind of character assassination on your part.
Oh, that's true. That's fair.
But I agree with you. These people, I mean, I almost agree with that manager. I don't know how racy it got. Also, I thought you maybe accidentally were reading some of your Chili's fanfic.
It was really involved.
It's crazy. It's quite a yarn there. I think they were just fucking in the booth and they got called out on it and then they got mad.
That's how I feel.
That's I take Chili's side 100% in this one.
Over the pants HJ at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Even like I don't know. Just public displays of affection. I'm not big into that. I don't know if it's my Irish heritage, but you're in a restaurant on top of that.
Keep it a family restaurant.
You know what?
I'm with Chili's.
I just like this claim that more drug dealers go on there than anywhere else in Scottsdale. Now, Scottsdale is a classy city, right? It's like the nice area next to Phoenix where all the rich people live.
I get that confused with Flagstaff.
No, Flagstaff is the cool like college town up north. But Scottsdale is where all the rich people. I dated a guy in Phoenix briefly, and the punk rock kids in Phoenix were at war with the poshes in Scottsdale. It's also where, what's his name, Painter of Light? Who's the
Thomas Kincaid.
Thomas Kincaid, I believe, operated out of Scottsdale.
Oh. Okay.
But it's very nice, but I'm sure there's another place where drug deals go down that isn't the Chili's.
Yeah, that was crazy to me too. Also, that she knew about all of them and she thinks that a lot of them go down there makes me feel like she might have had a little hand in that world, or
She bought drugs there.
She bought drugs there at some point, and maybe she was the one who ordered the guy to go get the drugs at the Chili's too.
But now who's doing character assassination?
This lady, I'm not a big fan of hers, but if you're at a Chili's, the only reason you should be licking lips is because you got barbecue sauce all over them. Not because you're licking your lover's lips.
All right. Okay. 1 in 5 Americans have learn a new language on their bucket list. If that's you, make 2024 the year you finally check it off the list with Babbel. Be a better you in 2024 with Babbel, the science-based language learning app that actually works. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you to speak the language. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are designed by over 150 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel's designed by real people for real conversations. Babbel's tips and tools are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching, so you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world. You know, Babbel's convenient courses have helped me learn a lot of real-life conversation skills. I can ask someone for directions, or how to order food, or talk to merchants without having to consult a language app. Studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others continue to prove Babbel is better. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. Babbel has over 10 million subscriptions sold, plus all of Babbel's 14 language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited-time deal for our listeners. Right now, get 55% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/doughboys. Get 55% off at babbel.com/doughboys. Spelled BABBEL.com/doughboys. Rules and restrictions may apply. So that'll do it. That'll do it for Chili's. It's time for something we call snack or whack. So
that's what we're calling it?
I don't know.
You surprised me with this
these
one.
Segment names are TBD. Look, if you got better ones, email doughboyspodcast@gmail.com.
Tweet at us.
Let us know. Let us know if you got something better than snack or whack. It was the first thing I thought of, and I just ran with it. That's what was my process behind that. Anyway, we've got these Chewy Chips Ahoy made with Reese's peanut butter cups. So these are like a chocolate chip cookie that has Reese's peanut butter cups inside of this. I have never had these. Have either of you guys had these?
No. Can you eat them?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
okay,
great.
Oh, I'm into it.
All right, I'm going to open this up. I'm opening this up now. That's the sound you're hearing. Me opening this Chips Ahoy. And these are chewy.
They are fresh.
And let's dig in.
So unlike regular Chips Ahoy, it's a chocolate cookie.
It's a chocolate cookie, yes.
But they have the chewy, the chewy texture.
Okay.
I don't know what to think. It's kind of that weird thing of the regular chewy Chips Ahoy, like they taste like kind of fresh baked cookies, and you lose that a lot with these, right? Like,
yeah. Maybe they'd be better with a little bit in the microwave. I tell you what, I'm not picking up much peanut butter. I don't know about you guys.
You don't mind, no.
I think the thing that's good about Reese's is the salt, and it gets kind of swallowed up by what's going on in the cookie.
These could almost just as easily be a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd buy these because you see the Reese's and you're like, oh, that's great. That's my favorite thing, Reese's peanut butter cups, and I'm going to have one with in a Chip Ahoy, and then you're not really getting it.
It's a weird thing of I would rather have Reese's peanut butter cups or I would rather have chewy Chips Ahoy than this.
Or Reese's Pieces, or just a handful of peanut butter chips out of the freezer.
Yeah. These are, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. They're not bad by any means. I feel like they're not bad. But I also heard that to make Chips Ahoy like the soft, like whatever that soft texture where it's like feels like it was just cooked. There's like a lot of chemicals that they have to add to it. Like these cookies are like some of the worst things that you can eat, apparently.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know if maybe you should just stay away from these things altogether.
I'd say if our options are snack or whack, and I'm sticking with that, I'm gonna go with whack.
I'm also gonna say whack.
I'm gonna say whack, but I would also like eat a bunch more of these. But
I've noticed you've already got in for multiple cookies. You're the one person who's had more than one.
Well, Nick, it's not a cookie counting podcast. Eva, I had a question for Eva before.
Of course.
We start wrapping stuff up.
Yeah.
Now, I asked you this before.
Yeah.
Did your father ever incorporate magic into any of your meals? Because I know your father is a magician.
Yes, my dad's Harry Anderson from Night Court, the magician actor.
And did he? I know that you went to the Magic Castle a lot growing up, and there was a great restaurant in there. Mm-hmm. But at home, because when I was younger, when I loved magic, and I went through a phase where I bought a lot of stuff and was trying to do magic for a little while, and I would always do stuff at the kitchen table at dinner.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, he would do. He had a lot of little tricks on him. He has some really good kind of pocket tricks that he does that my brother can do as well, like little tricks with a dollar bill. But there's one trick he taught me when I was a kid that I still do all the time, which is you if you're in a diner that has creamers, the ones with the little paper top, you tuck one into your hand.
Oh my God.
And you start rubbing your eye and you start acting like your eye itches. I did this in front of like a 7-year-old boy the other day, freaked him out. And then you're just like, oh, my eye's really itching. You grab a fork and you stab it, looks like, into your eye, but you really just stab the creamer, and then white cream pours out all over the table.
Oh my God.
Like you just popped your eye with a fork and white stuff went everywhere.
I swear to God, I did this trick when I was younger at my kitchen table. Did your dad ever do that on TV as a thing?
I think he did it once on Letterman with a pencil.
Because it was a thing that I learned it, and then I was like, I'm going to do this. And I went into the kitchen and did it, and I did that exact same trick, and I had a steak knife. Oh. And I went through it, and it hit the plastic part and, put it back into my eye. Oh,
you stabbed your eye?
I was so close to stabbing my eye, it nearly went through. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't do that ever again. But it was everyone was like, Michael, and they were like, oh my God, what is that? And it looked so cool. And I'm trying to figure out where I learned that trick, and it might have been your dad.
Did it? He had a book called Games You Can't Lose. I think it was in there.
Oh, okay.
But also, I think it's a pretty common yeah. There's a guy, Matt King, who's a really awesome magician who has a place in Vegas. He has a show in Vegas, and he also taught me one that you can do where you cut the little corner off a foil pad of butter, and if you do it the right way, it makes it look like you're squeezing a pimple out of the table, and butter's coming out. But if you get a chance, be very careful with your eyes, but if you do that fork in the creamer thing, I guarantee it's the most disgusting thing. People really freak out.
Yeah, don't use a sharp knife, or use just a fork.
Use a fork and just do it lightly,
yeah.
and then just rub your eye and go oh, I feel better. But just... Yeah, I did it up in Ojai, and the waitress walked up in the middle of it, and she was looked at my boyfriend what the, is she your girlfriend? She was so, uncomfortable, and she was and I just made the table messy.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great. It's super funny.
So he would do a few tricks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good.
There you go. Well, yeah. So, if you've got some creamer on hand, go for it. Use a fork, not a knife. I think that's our lesson. Before we go, we just like a restaurant, we value your feedback. So this is another segment I arbitrarily named that Mitch will lay into me for. Let's open up the feedback. So since we don't have any listeners yet, we solicited for emails on Facebook. And today's email comes from Hank Friedman, who is a friend of mine.
One of your friends.
Yeah. Huh? We discussed ahead of time which email to use. This wasn't me choosing.
I know Hank Friedman.
But yeah, a very talented editor who's worked on Comedy Bang Bang, other shows. His email reads, whenever I pick up a hot and ready pizza from Little Caesars, I always force a tip on the cashier even though they are not allowed to accept tips. It's a hot and ready tip and ditch. I wonder if they have to throw the money away. I guess what that leads us into is what are the ethics, or ethics is maybe the wrong word, but what non-tipped employees in food service who you're trying to force a tip onto? Is that what do we think of that practice?
A little tip talk.
A little tip talk.
I'm gonna name something.
I think anyone will just take a tip, right?
Yeah, I think
so. Just leave money on the counter. They have to take it.
I feel especially any time I'm working a job like that, and it usually the base pay is not the greatest, so any tip is usually appreciated. I actually did the same thing. I got a hot and ready. I was telling you, I went to Little Caesars just recently, and I gave the guy a few bucks or whatever because I thought that was just what you did. There was no tip jar, but I definitely don't think he threw it away. For sure.
No, I wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't throw money in the trash. It seems insane.
Yeah.
But there are some places that don't put out tip jars, and I think that's always kind of a weird thing of like.
Yeah.
But also, that's a hard thing. Like, if you're picking up food, there's a couple different things with this. If you're picking up food, do you just leave a couple bucks? I guess so, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're eating in, if you buy your food at the cash register, do you tip 20% there? That is always the hardest thing for me because I'm like, well, this isn't like a thing where like there's a waiter who's waiting on you.
Sure.
But you're gonna have a number and someone's gonna bring your food to you. So do you still do the 20%? I usually don't do the 20%. I almost always tip 20% all the time. I never don't tip 20%. That's kind of my base. And my dad used to yell at me a lot because he was like from a different generation and like it was like it's 15%, because he would have been like 70 something, so like, but I always do 20% in that, and getting something at a counter is always kind of tricky to me.
Yeah, my on that note, real quick, my dad said recently, like, if I tipped like your mother wanted me to, I'd be bankrupt. Like, I think there is like a thing of like guys in their 60s and 70s who, that was just then 15% was what you did.
Yeah.
Maybe you knock them down to 10 if they didn't do their job.
Yeah.
You would never go to 20 unless they gave you something for free,
Yeah, I remember when my dad would get mad at like service or something. Like he was like, they're not paying attention to us, and then he'd always still just tip it. And I was like, oh, Dad, come on. At least stand by your anger. But yeah, no, that's another tough one too, because people are like, always tip 20%, even if they're not doing a good job. I think there is a weird thing now where I think there's been so many articles and things online about it where it's like, hey, a lot of their pay comes from that tip.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also just from being a waiter, the waiters get taxed on their tips as if they make 10% no matter what. So just like they're taxed as if there's an additional 10% no matter what. So if you tip less than 10%, you're actually stealing money from the waiter.
Jeez.
So don't ever tip less than 10% unless the person is bananas.
Wow. Yeah. I've never done that before. I've never gone below 15, I don't think, ever.
I had a friend that was a waiter at CBK who always kept a bottle of Visine in his he would show it to me. It was in his pocket all the time, in his apron, so that he could put it in people's water if he wanted to give them diarrhea. He said he'd never used it, but it was like insurance for him emotionally.
Oh, wow. I think someone not tipping him 20% would be okay. So where do you? That's
I don't feel like that guy should be working there. I feel like Tom made some odd hires, including you potentially.
Yeah,
I agree.
Tom should have been fired, and also you're my friend, but I think you should have been fired too
for dropping that woman. Oh yeah.
Oh no, even more so for the shirt thing that you mentioned. How do you guys feel about if you're getting a number? Would you tip 20%? Should I up it? Because I usually give a few bucks. And now I don't know what to do.
I do like 15.
Yeah, I feel
15?
like 15 is good. I
probably usually do around there.
20 is for someone who's like doing the sequence of, it's called the sequence of service, where they just keep checking back with you and they like drop off the thing and then they have to come back a minute later to see if the thing is to your liking. So there's like 9 steps to it, and you have to do a bunch of them at once, and it's like
at Alcove, just to bring up a specific example, which people won't know, but Alcove, in Los Feliz, if you go and buy your food there, you get a number, you sit down, they just bring you your food. You'd still do about 15%, you think?
15 for sure, yeah.
Okay. Good to know. That's good to know. I got to up.
If they're
now
nice,
I feel cheap.
20.
I've been a cheap man. And I've always kind of prided myself on that. And another question, too, that's kind of coming up in the delivery world is that there's a lot of these apps, which Nick hates, that they'll deliver you your food from anywhere. They'll come up. I think one is called Postmates, and they'll just come and deliver to your house. Mm-hmm. So they charge you twice. They charge you like a delivery fee and then like a percentage fee, and that can be like $7 to $10. And then at the end, it also asks, do you want to tip the driver, the delivery man? And so then that pushes it way up. And every time I have tipped like 20% to the driver because I feel like, oh, is this company just making this money? And now this man is getting ripped off, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about that?
I think you have to. On that note, you shared with me a Postmates order you made for Taco Bell.
I was about to ask if you're using it for Taco Bell.
Oh, we did, yeah.
Everyone
we
I
used it for
know
Taco Bell.
who does that uses it for Taco Bell.
And it was like, seriously, I did the math, and it was like a 95% surcharge that you were getting with all the delivery fees and the tip on top of it. It's like you're paying an insane amount of money to have Taco Bell delivered to you.
I would do it again.
Yeah, all right.
Was it great?
Yeah, some's coming right now for us as soon as this podcast is
And for what it's worth, the Chili Ziosk defaults to 20%. So
Yeah,
when
I
you
know.
go to tip
We
there,
wanted to tip cash, so we had to slowly push it down from 20% to 0 in this humiliating way where it was like, watching it
Are
go
you
down.
sure? Yeah, that's crazy.
I am the Ziosk.
I think the Ziosk more than anything made me want to play Plants vs. Zombies because I don't understand what that game is about.
Oh, you
But-
would like it. It's
yeah,
very
it's fun.
Okay, I'm going to get into it.
We played one where you decorate cupcakes and give them to people. And if you don't do it fast enough, they get mad.
What the hell is going on in this world?
It was like a food they didn't have at the Chili's, but we were looking at pictures of it and like decorating it and pretending we owned a different sort of restaurant and we're like running it while we were waiting for our food at this restaurant. We were living in 2 planes at once.
Ziosk is going to be as common as automobile someday.
Well, I think that'll about do it for this first episode of Doughboys. Our thanks so much to our guest, Eva Anderson. Eva, where can people check you out? What should they look for?
I'm on Twitter at Eva Fay, EVAFAY. My sketch group, A Kiss from Daddy, which Nick Wiger and I started, has a show at UCB Sunset in Los Angeles the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 10:30. And watch You're the Worst on FXX coming later this year.
Awesome. Check all that out. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. If you have a question or comment on your experience at a chain restaurant, you can email us at doughboyspodcast@gmail.com. That's doughboyspodcast@gmail.com.
And we got a Twitter, too, at doughboyspod.
Correct. No cast on that one. There weren't enough characters.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks so much,
everyone.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Want more Doughboys? Check out the Doughscord, our Discord server. Get access to that and the Doughboys Double over at patreon.com/doughboys.
That was a Headgum podcast.